back to Tools and Track. We're fairly getting through this list of to-do stuff so that we can fire this thing up. I didn't think it would take me quite as long as it has, but we're getting there. Anyway, today we're going to look at exhaust, and I'm pleased to say there's not a great deal from the old car to go on. Exhaust time, or at least something resembling exhaust, so when I fire this up it doesn't shoot flames into the floor. As you can see, and have seen for many episodes now, we have the 4 to 2 to 1 branch manifold. Well, actually it's just a 4 to 2 branch manifold at the moment. That we retained from the car because, well, it's quite a decent floor manifold by the looks of it. And it's got the flange for the other side, which we chopped off before binning the rest of the exhaust. At this stage of the game, I'm raging about that because the price of steel right now is unbelievably expensive, and it would have been good to maybe retain some of this, bodge it a wee bit just to get an exhaust. But being brutally honest, if I remember correctly, all of this was never going to work with this application. The roots just weren't right, it was really restrictive, it was, well, crap frankly. So we've kept this for good reason. We will be able to start the new exhaust with this flange and make it route wherever it needs to go. So, first things first, we know we're going to need a Y because, well, I'm not buying another cat, which is this guy, to put in so we can have 2 exhausts coming out. That's just ridiculous. So, yeah, we'll need a Y, we'll need some, well, many bends to get this thing to come out. We'll need to mate it to this, and we'll need to have some, well, some form of back box, because I'm not a hooligan. I need to measure this and work out what size of pipes we need. So let's start with our known knowns, as opposed to our known unknowns, which we'll get to in a moment. Our manifold has a flange here with 2 pipes coming out, which are 43mm OD. I don't know what that is in black and white money, but it's going to be an inch and something. Our cat, get it? It's got an input diameter of 54mm OD. So we need to go from 2 of these to 1 of these. It's not going to be quite as simple as that as well, because I need to put a bend on these 2, because right now this exhaust downpipe is facing right at the passenger's feet. So a 90-degree minimum 2 are going to be needed to point this out to the outside of the car. Once it gets to here, I would like to put a Y pipe in. So we are going to have to find some form of off-the-shelf Y pipe that will put 2 into 1. I would like also, although I know this is probably such wishful thinking that I can just forget it straight off the bat, is for the inputs to be 43mm and the outputs to be 54. There's going to need to be some level of pokery for that to happen, but coming out of here there will need to be another 90-degree bend for this size of diameter going into the cat. Once we're into the cat, well, we might just call it quits there, because then it's time to come out of the cat and think about other stuff. This is phase 1. That is what our, well, manifold downpipe? Yeah, downpipe to cat. That's what that's going to have to look like. Even on a drawing board that looks complex. Wait till you see what I come up with in real life. Given what we've just drawn on the board, excuse me, I think we're going to have to modify this manifold because, should have tidied this up before I filmed it anyway. Yeah, we are pointing straight down into the bottom of the floor pan here, and it's a wee bit too close. But if you look very carefully through this window, you'll see that there's 2 inches or so of, I don't know, just pipe putting this flange away from here. Now if we were to take that back up, that would give us a lot more clearance for this 90-degree bend we're talking about, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. When I cast my mind back and think about all the times I've chastised French car manufacturers for not thinking about the mechanics when they design cars, and I have just completely not thought about myself when I made that bracket for the alternator completely obstruct taking this off. Well, to be fair actually, if I didn't have to take the stud with that nut, it would have been a lot easier. But yeah, might have a wee tweak about that. We'll get back to it. Again, tomorrow's problem. Right, today though, we're chopping this. Now as I've said, I want some space, so we're going to take these 2-inch extension guys down to here and probably just put this bracket back on. Actually no, I'm going to wait for my steel to arrive because I've got some thoughts about that. Chop chop! freshly cut manifold. Now this is the other half of this, so I'm not going to bother cleaning this up yet. I'm going to check it with this. As you'll see, it will still fit on pretty nicely and we'll get a weld all the way around. However, I'm not going to weld this on just yet because I've ordered some pipe, and I think what might happen with this is we're going to put these 90 degrees on here, put this flange facing this way. That gives us as tight a radius as possible before we start building the exhaust, which means when we start building the exhaust, we don't have this depth to height that we're trying to adapt. It's just going to be a build straight from the side out, which gives us so much more room for activities. All I need to now is wait for the pipe to arrive. Online sellers strike again. So the first critical part of our exhaust has arrived. It is the Y-pipe or collector or merger, or frankly whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really bother me. Annoyingly they've put a sticker inside it. Why have you put a sticker inside it? That'll be pre-cat, it's just going to kill things. Now we'll come back to that. Anyway, what I need to see here is if we have had a stroke of luck or not. So this is the collector, which I'm hoping will go straight to this Y-pipe. Nope. Okay. I mean, it was a bit much to hope for anyway. What we're probably going to do here is when I get my two Y-pipes, remember we said we're probably going to turn this out and then collect it, I will offset this slightly so that the two Y-pipes will actually collect in a straight line. Because if you rotate this, the more you rotate it, the tighter the angle between the two are going to become. Now, bear in mind this doesn't sit flush anyway. I think we're on to a winner. Just need to see when these elbows arrive, if that will work. Any day now, online sellers. Right, several more days later, and Hanga has delivered me my two elbows. So, our plan here was to bend these out like this. And if you remember correctly, I was going to put this as close to here as possible, flange it up, flange again, and put the Y on. However, fourth dimensional Tommy boy has been thinking again. Now remember, these flanges won't match up to the Y. So, if I put these on, and I have flange here, I'll still need to find some way of widening out the Y to meet it. However, if I go flange to flange here, so we've got our break, and then take the two bends into the Y, the angle of the two bends into the Y will allow me that flexibility to catch it straight on. If I put them from a flange, it's not going to do it. In a rare break from character, I've actually put some proper thought into this. So we're going to do flange to flange at this point, and then the bends. So, knowing that I'm going to go flange to flange, I don't need to weld onto this. I can weld straight onto here and make my life a whole lot easier. Montage music time! Okay, we've tack welded this guy on. Here is another stroke of luck. You'll note that this actually sleeves over till I was to weld a nice seam around here. It also gives us a level of flex. Flex is a good thing. What it's going to allow me to do is put the angle on here to take into account the difference in width that these need to be. Namely, that. Obviously, I'll need to trim this down for it to meet here. But once I trim that bit down here, whilst that would normally sit like this, we can give a bit of jiggle and make that connect. Now, before anyone gets all pissy in the comment section, all of this is just to get exhaust out. Remember, turbo eventually. So this doesn't need to look baller, it just needs to flow exhaust out the back and pass an IVA. Still, I'll try and do it right. Here comes the really highly anxiety-inducing bit where I trim off just enough to make this work and no more. Yes, the fitment is giving me the fear a bit. So what we're going to do at this point is, now that I've spot welded it in place, just a wee double check trial fit. Well, butter my balls. That's pretty much bang on. We can work with that. Right, back off. Let's cut some more. Well, actually, no. Let's not cut some more. Let's stop, think, and maybe weld some more. So yeah, we're not quite ready to weld yet. As luck would have it, it's another day and another single piece of steel has arrived. This is going to be my 90-degree section to bend the exhaust out and along the side of the car. I'm pleased to say it sleeves into the bit that we've just put here, and obviously with a bit of trimming it'll actually point perfectly down this section. Now, point to note, this is about 15 degrees out from the flat side of the car, so I might need another wee kink here, but don't forget we've also got to put the cat in, and then another section, and then the back box, so we've got loads of space to deal with that. However, here, I'm not going to weld this. I think we're going to actually cut some notches in here and have this detachable. Don't forget, when the body goes on, this will all have to be removable. So I would like my exhaust to split here, so they can go through the bodywork and assemble again. So I'm happy with where we're at just now. Now time to take this off and weld it all up. Right, it's been several weeks, so much so that you'll notice in between filming this episode I've finished another episode. The delivery time on exhaust parts is unbelievable right now. U-clamp, so that's going to go on, at least that gets the downpipe sorted. Now we're going to have to move on to the cat. But before we do, another reason I have waited a significant amount of time is to take delivery of this. This is, well, Chinese obviously, which is why it took so long to arrive. It's 18 inches long, nice 2.5 in, 2.5 out, so we're going to have to step up a wee bit to get to this. But the reason I had to wait for this one in particular is, you'll notice the edge of this exhaust is radiused by about 5mm. There's a reason for that. I think the IVA might have a word to say if there's sharp edges in this exhaust at any point. Now I think I'm also going to have to wrap the exhaust for a number of reasons, but this will certainly help matters if it doesn't have the usual sharp edge rolled steel thing that the exhausts normally come with. I'm going to get the cat welded on, get this roughly welded on, and then we can look at how we're going to actually support this entire thing. Now, I've got to say, my inner hot rodder is not entirely offended by the angle of that. However, I'd imagine the IVA might have something to say about it. So, obviously, here, I'm going to have to put a wee bit of a kink. So, that'll be the next step. Also, before I forget, a fairly essential part of this exhaust will be a lambda sensor, because we're putting the cat in, and, well, even if I didn't put the cat in, the engine still needs to know what the, what the lambda's saying. So yeah, we need to find a wee port for that. Now, truth be told, I quite like to have this here, kind of like inside-y rather than sitting outside-y, for obvious not sitting outside-y reasons. However, we may be tight on finding something inside-y unless I put like a hole and weld the bung here, right at this join. But, well, I need to dig the bung out first, which could be a problem because I don't remember where it was in. somewhere amongst this big pile of doom, there's a lambda sensor. Right, let's see if I can dig out what is hopefully going to be an easy to find lambda sensor. This is where I keep all my crap for Locost. That was easy. There's the bracket, the mechanical holder, thankfully chopped and kept for me, with a boss sitting right there. So we'll cut this out and we'll weld it into the new one somewhere. Question is, do I still have the lambda sensors though? As if by magic. And I did not engineer this, by the way, it's all just sitting right here. I've got two lambda sensors though. They look more or less identical, so I don't know which is which. I'm going to imagine though, there's going to be a pre and a post cat, and I'm hoping that I only need a pre-cat for this to run. Right, almost finished. What we've done here is the tried and tested method to add a slight kink, which is chop a big fillet out, squeeze the pipe up and then weld it back up again. Now I've dressed it down and flattened it so it doesn't look quite so obvious, and it's given us the kink we're looking for. I've also got my lambda sensor in, so hopefully that will still work. Two more things left to do. I need to find some way of hanging this so that it'll flex and not have to drive around everywhere with that axle stand underneath it. And a little bit of dressage for the end, because you're going to see all this, so I might as well make it look nice. Time for the last montage of the day. Not half bad, eh? That's two things off the list. We're getting there. I know it's slow pace, but we're managing it. Next up, well, these alternator and coolant things we've actually kind of done before. I've got a couple of wee tweaks that I've bought and naturally will be arriving shortly. So in the next episode, we're going to start the big final assembly. Obviously, we've got the alternator to put back on properly. We've got the coolant system to finally kind of plumb in and make work. And then we're going to start on this. Electrics. That's horrifying, isn't it? Yeah, well, it is if you're me. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Patrons, everyone running upside the screen, massive thanks for your help. As you can see, your support is massively appreciated and it's helping this build no end, believe me. If you don't know what that's about, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. Help a brother out. If that's not for you, that's fine. Just do the like, subscribe and all the button nonsense at the bottom. And if that's not for you, cool. I appreciate you watching anyway. Hope you'll stick around for some more. Anyway, I'm gonna get off because it's bloody freezing. Until next time, guys, drive safe.
What dressage are you gonna do?
I'm gonna put a wee bit on there that you can't see because it's not on the camera. I've already done it.
Oh.
This isn't the BBC, mate, alright?
And they don't know that the mount's already made as well.
Oh, the great angles, mate.